good to go.
Alrighty, we're live. How's it going, everyone? This is Mateusz Frandibu again. Also go by Matt Detroit on social medias. And today I am interviewing with someone I have known for a while. He has been in the music scene of Detroit for a very long time, over a decade. And I have the pleasure of speaking with him. He has DJ'd at multiple locations. Some of them include Temple Bar, Marble Bar, Whiskey Disco, just to name a few. He is renowned. There's actually people who I know have no connection to him who have, when I asked, they knew about him. So it's just cool to see his name and just to watch him grow over the years. Jerry Downey Jr.
Hey, thanks for having me, Matt.
Yeah,
always a pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, I want to talk about on today's episode just kind of like how you got started, how like the whole Detroit scene is, a couple other things about like what you want to kind of do in the future and things like that. But yeah, man. So I guess first question now, how was lunch? What'd you have for lunch?
For lunch, had a nice smoothie.
Nice, cool. Yeah, I had Chipotle, but I guess kind of going into it. So I've known you for a while, probably like late high school, early college. And we met through a friend, John, who was actually on the previous episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah. So, ever since I've known you, you've been into music. Has it like been something you grew up with, or was it like something that just kind of came about later on in life?
Oh, I guess after elementary, going into middle school is when I really started picking up music.
That's early.
Started, my father borrowed a guitar from my aunt, and she used to tour with George Clinton. So, the Funkadelic.
No way.
She's from Windsor originally, and yeah, he never picked up the guitar. So one day I eventually picked it up, as a preteen, and slowly learned how to play guitar through the internet, and started progressing from there. Started getting interested in recording around that time, around middle school. I was using Adobe actually owns it now, but Cerulean used to make it. It used to be called Cool Edit Pro before it was Adobe Audition.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had a copy, pirated copy of Adobe, or not Adobe, but Cool Edit Pro 2.0 on my Windows 98 computer, and slowly learned how to multi-track record. And then, the next thing was, how we want drums, so started dabbling in that. And
would you like record songs and stuff? Because I feel like that's like probably a little bit of like guitar and drum that's like classic like music and style, and then like more electronic like making music is different. It was like overlap a lot, or was it just
they actually did, because I didn't have many people to jam with, and I would try to do bands with friends, but they were very short-lived. But eventually I started, since I had to depend on myself, I eventually looked into a digital audio workstation where I could actually track drums, program drums, and then play guitar over them.
Okay, cool. So it's like basically you got a couple things going on, and this is all like in like high school and even like junior high and
stuff? Junior high, high school. And, I was using a digital audio workstation mainly from a rock and roll perspective, programming drums that way. But then started getting more interested because they had synthesizers built in. So I started learning how to make patches and how, basic subtractive synthesis works, and started creating songs that way. And I guess that was, my introduction into electronic music.
Okay, cool. So you're actually like making like music of your own, because I know like I don't know too much about it, but like there's a pretty big distinction of like making your own music versus like getting tracks and from other people and playing that for a different night. You actually were getting to the point where you're creative and like making your own stuff.
Oh yeah, I still have, a couple of guitars. Nowadays I've got many synthesizers.
Yeah.
But in high school, played in bands, used to throw shows too.
Oh really?
Yeah, we'd have them in my friend's basement. I had parents who just kind of drank wine upstairs and let us do whatever. We used to skateboard in the basement and throw rock and roll shows.
Nice, classic right there. And then so you kind of like started to get you progressing more in the digital sphere, and you eventually started like, because obviously at this point this is like what you do, right, career wise. So what stage did it kind of turn from a hobby into like a profession? Was it gradual? Was it like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can make money doing this?
It was gradual, it took a while to build up, contacts for the industry and build up, a name, a reputation. But I would say probably within the last 2 years,
Okay.
I was focusing on school and relationships more so, but like within the past 2 years that I've had more time, I've been able to pick up more gigs and be more active in it. And nowadays I've probably played 50 gigs between September now.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
So you're very active.
yeah, usually about 8 or 10 a month. I'm trimming back this month, but just staying consistent.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. So you probably like was it like have deals with like certain um locations like restaurants or bars or
Yeah, yeah.
venues?
I'll usually do a monthly night. Whether it's third Saturday of the month, or even I do even do a week night that's a monthly. But also been doing weekly residencies where I'm there every Friday.
Okay.
But yeah, just filling out your schedule that way and managing time in between.
Is it like tough to like plan it out? Like time management, I think is gonna be especially going to school. I know you've been going to school too. And, like during that period, like I'm sure it's hard and hectic, and it's almost like opposite schedules, because this stuff kind of goes on late into the night sometimes, and the whatever at school or all other jobs, it's not. So like I'm just like kind of curious about like your time management and like how you manage to like book everything.
Oh, barely by the skin of my teeth.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, time management's pretty important for I have a pretty easy semester at school right now. I'm in my last 4 credits of my accounting program, so I'm only taking one class.
Congrats.
Yeah, I have to dedicate a lot of effort into it, but things are relatively easy. I would say like Sundays is when I'll do a lot of you gotta work. When you're throwing shows and promoting and also DJing, you have to really focus on the promotion aspect of everything. And
Oh, really?
I rely on. I don't really have a team. I'm kind of a
Mm.
one-man show, so I have to do all the graphic design. So usually Sundays and Tuesdays I'll dedicate to doing that. I like to publish events Sunday night when people are looking at their phones or whatever before bed, or even in the afternoon.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So it's like, yeah, that's another thing. It's like I always find interesting it with like creative individuals is
Mhm.
like where a lot of creativity comes from just kind of like being laid back and like in some weird ways it just hits you at random times. But also like running a business, you also have to be on time. You have to kind of
Yeah, you have to look at you have to get together, a good schedule for publishing content, and you have to consistently publish content. Like I try to make some type of content through either my Instagram or Facebook every 2 days.
okay. So that's a lot.
Yeah, 'cause honestly, if you're not,
It doesn't sound like a lot because it's like, oh, like you have 48 hours to like think of one thing, but like it's not stop.
well,
It
like you
doesn't
said,
end.
sometimes you'll have an idea and you will have to wait because there are times where visibility is low and you got to figure out when it's ideal to publish something or.
Okay, so you kind of actually probably got into a lot of like the background stuff of social media, of like
Yeah, all the marketing stuff. I've been to business school, so that helps out a bit.
okay,
But yeah, just finding out, what works with your audience, and where to go from there, and how to be consistent with what you're doing.
how was it? How was like growing an audience? Obviously, having a lot of time and doing this for years and
Yeah,
years, it builds up. But is it just like
so my company, Sexual Tension Detroit, we've had a Facebook page for. We just celebrated our 8 year anniversary in November, but we've only had our Facebook page for maybe 6 years.
okay,
But that's just organic growth. I feel like 6 years ago things were much different. With people weren't overwhelmed with content like they are today, and you get an invite to an event or to like a page every couple minutes, right?
yeah.
So it's hard to stay up with that, but
So do you think it's harder now? Like,
yeah, it's definitely harder now.
okay, okay, yeah. See, I mean, I wouldn't know too much about that, but
Well, Facebook and Instagram, they're owned by the same parent company, and it's all about 6 years ago was probably right before they started pushing the advertisement.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's all paid ads nowadays. So I mean, I'm sure those work great. I don't personally do
I
them.
was gonna ask if like you've seen any benefit from that because I know you can do by location and if it's like if your kind of crowd is like
Oh yeah, you can really narrow down your metrics, but I personally don't do that. No, I
mm,
just word of mouth. A lot of my parties are underground, so I'll still
mm,
do like business cards and advertise that way, and like, you slowly get a following.
okay,
If you're
cool.
doing something that people are into, they'll find it, and you'll find them.
Nice. Okay, so just good organic growth and just being consistent with it
Yeah,
and people that actually show up, they either know about you or they got invited through a friend or something like that, and it's probably like since it's your thing, like they'll know where to find you just because it's
yep,
Sexual Tension Detroit, STD, boom, and right there, and like it's they follow you from that.
yeah.
Okay, cool, nice. So you've been doing this for a while, and like one thing I was really curious about was I guess this kind of ties into running a business. Is like how do you like grow your reputation? Is it just through just the same thing? Is it
Just the way you do business should be. Uh, People should like to do business with you because of the way you do business. Whether it's through the way you build relationships or, you know, making sure you pay up front.
mm-hmm.
That has a lot to do with DJing.
Oh really?
Because or yeah, or booking shows or any production, making sure you're able to cover costs up front. Making sure you're providing a safe environment for people.
Oh, so is that that's like on you or is that on
Oh yeah,
them?
of
Yeah.
course.
Oh
Yeah, if
wow,
I'm gonna
okay.
put my name on anything, I'm gonna have my you know
Wow.
say in it.
That's like something you don't even really think about. You think it's like okay, you just kind of show up and stuff and like it's
No, a
they
lot of
take care of it.
work goes into making
Really?
making an event happen.
So is there so I'm just curious about that. So there's like making sure it's safe, the people that like you're bringing are good or like what like
Well, just like the it depends on we do a lot of bar nights, but
is there like rules you kind of like or like a tone or something you set up or
no, it really depends on what we're looking at. If we're doing a underground party,
yeah.
then it really depends on what kind of conditions the building in.
Okay.
Is the roof leaking? Things like that.
Oh, I got you.
Is
I
there
got you.
soap in the bathroom? You'd be surprised how
Really?
overlooked all these little things are.
Wow.
So just like the logistics of making sure everything's safe,
Yeah, I mean doing this
especially in
for
some
a
of the
while.
neighborhoods we're in.
Yeah, exactly. It's still like a very kind of like experimental areas that you can like go into. It's like they could be good, they could be
I mean, people have been
pretty
throwing
shitty.
underground parties for a long, long time, but
Yeah, especially in Detroit. I mean, like I feel like this is like
oh yeah, we have a rich history.
yeah. So I mean, I've been to a lot of upscale, a lot of downscale, a lot of underground stuff, and like it totally ranges. I'm usually cool with everything, but yeah, there's some places
Yeah,
where it's
same.
gets
I try to do a nice mixture, whether it's legal warehouse rave or I've been doing a really nice French restaurant in Midtown.
okay.
Um, or the dive bar for 15 people on the weeknight. I try to stay consistent with doing something that pretty much anyone can enjoy.
Okay, as far as like venues, when did you start doing venues, like
Okay,
early,
so
even underground,
I guess Sexual Tension Detroit started in fall of 2011. We had a friend who moved in with a buddy of his that he knew through work, and they had a loft space at a warehouse right by Belle Isle on Lafayette, and there was already staging there. It was an 8,000 square foot warehouse they had, full rain over, and I looked in there and I'm like, this used to be a party spot. We should throw a rent party or something.
and that's kind of how it started. So you guys threw a party and then just overdeveloped. Like obviously you've been doing it for a minute now. So have you like noticed the scene change at all? Like,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Many of my friends have
like
moved away and my audience has completely shifted.
really? Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so what was it like early days? I guess you could say. Like,
Early days was a
first
lot
three
a lot
years.
easier. People were more responsive on social media, and you could just post like the address like the day of, and everyone would know. But nowadays, we have to be more careful, and we tell people to message us for the address nowadays. So
Oh,
just for the
wow.
sanctity of the party to keep everything,
Huh. Okay.
out
Cool.
of the limelight or whatever. But yeah, it used to be a lot easier to do stuff. I feel like a lot more of my friends lived here.
Okay.
I'm not saying I don't have friends here now, but but yeah, things have definitely changed. I've seen like the crowds completely shift at my events, and
What's the crowd like starting out versus like now?
I mean, we were all younger. I was throwing parties when I was throwing dance parties when I was 19. So a lot of younger crowd.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
A lot of friends of mine who'd go to like CCS or Wayne, and then a lot of people I went to high school with. Like we had a pretty good group of people, but nowadays, much more diverse, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm absolutely okay with
Yeah.
and prefer. And
So is it like now, like, do you get like a lot of people who you have never met, like kind of like walk in or like whatever venue you're at, you're like the kind of,
yeah, nowadays, for the most part, I try to keep my parties at about 100 people is where I feel most comfortable with, just because like you'll have 1 degree of separation from about 90% of those people,
mm-hmm.
and it just you know makes things every that much more safer for everyone.
Yeah, I really like that. Like, I think that's like super interesting to have like 1 degree of separation to like almost everyone there.
Hmm.
So it's just kind of like it's not you still feel like there is like random people and it's new and
Yeah, or if you
interesting.
know that person came with so and so, and you know them through so
Mm-hmm.
and so, like yeah,
Some sense of like responsibility too in that it's like if you bring someone
mhm.
and you know they're good and like they bring someone then you kind of know they're good too.
Yeah, but when you go over 100 people at a party, you start to not know everyone, and it gets outside of your community,
Mm-hmm.
and then we try to avoid things like inappropriate touching or
Yeah.
people being a little too hedonistic and indulging
Yeah.
at the parties. So
Cool. Okay, so basically it's like it's I didn't even think about that. So you don't want too many people because then it like things get out of control
no,
obviously.
yeah, I'm comfortable with 100 people. That
Mm-hmm.
I'm a one-man operation.
Yeah.
We'll have bigger parties, like our anniversary party. We had like just over 200 through the door.
Okay.
But
Would you like need security at that point?
oh
Like
yeah, I've got
hire?
I've got a good friend who does security for me, big Russian fella.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, he takes no shit.
Yeah.
So it's always good to have someone keeping an eye on things.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that'd be pretty important, especially I mean like I guess any city, but like Detroit especially can get kind of crazy at times. But it's like I for overall I think it's pretty rare. I think
Mm.
usually stuff doesn't go down or maybe I just don't see it as much
No, you just gotta make sure
up
no
front.
no weapons, or if you accidentally brought your gun, go put it in your car. Come
Things
on
like
in,
that.
party with us.
Yeah.
Don't no weapons or anything. Try to avoid that, or markers where they can anything that could damage the space potentially.
Gotcha.
Got to respect the spaces that we party at. We always clean up, and put a lot of prep work into it and decorations. So
That is nuts. This is like even the cleanup. Like, that's kind of wild. Like, but I mean, obviously, like that's a cool thing. But
yeah,
like,
it's not
yeah,
fun, and but I wouldn't ask, especially like for when I do have teams for these larger events, I wouldn't ask anyone to do something I haven't been asked to do,
mm-hmm.
and I'll be right next to you doing it too if we have to clean up a mess or whatnot, or wire a bunch of wrap a bunch of cables and do the mundane stuff, or lift the
Yeah.
heavy
Take
speakers. Like
down.
I'm always there to do that too.
Cool. Awesome. That's super great. So I guess another question I had was, is there any like plans? Like, do you kind of go about this career, if I can say that, like in a way of like you have like goals, or are you just kind of like making sure you're busy on top of it and like doing that, or do you have like any goals for yourself in the, like 2020 or the next 3 years?
Well, I guess the next step as a musician, I would like to start performing live sets. I've got quite a bit of hardware gear, so I'd like to start bringing that out. It's just expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine. So that's kind of like a step you want to get into, and
Yeah, doing my own original productions live rather than just DJing.
Okay,
So
cool.
that'll be the next step for me. Also, just we switch venues, pretty much every year or two. So I never stay at the same spot more than once, except, for the exception of like residencies that I've held for years. But for underground parties, it's always looking for the new spot. I guess another goal would be collaborate with a couple of close friends of mine and look at into getting a building so that we can have our own space, not
Nice.
have to deal with, the owner,
Yeah, running the show or whatever.
yeah, or someone who's just, letting us have the party so they can sell drinks or whatnot.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's that. I think that'd be super cool.
Yeah, having our own space and having our own control is going to be crucial going forward.
Do you like that stuff? Because there's like I guess two sides to like there's like the actual art or production of what you're doing, and there's like all the like behind stuff, which is like the actual business side of
Yeah,
things.
I guess my specialty is more so with the logistics.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
like making sure our budget's straight and everything's paid up front, and how are we going to generate enough cash? How are we going to promote this? Are we going to make sure that we're going to break even at least? Like
Yeah.
I'm all the business side of things. Like
Gotcha.
I could do
Yeah.
a little bit of decorations or whatever, but like that's not my forte. I'm not that creative.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're really into like actually like kind of making sure
Making sure it happens.
from a high level,
Yeah.
yeah, like all the pieces are in place,
Yep.
and like you're just like kind of, and then obviously you show up and you do your whole thing too on top of that. And I think at this point it's probably like second nature to you. You can like, it could be any type of mood, this and that, and you could still like make
Yeah, I mean there are
everything
many days
perfect.
where I work, at 6 a.m. the next day and I'll DJ till 5,
Oh jeez.
or get off of work and have to immediately scramble to get to the gig, or pick this up. We forgot this, forgot that. You just
Yeah.
gotta make it happen in the end. So
Got you. Yeah, I think that's like super relatable to anyone that like has their own businesses. Like just making it happen. It's very rarely ever everything's perfect, and when it is, it's super nice, and you actually appreciate it. A lot of people
yes,
that go into it are like, "Oh, this is how it's supposed to be." Like, no, this is actually like rare, and a lot of times there's like things that are messing up and whatnot.
but at the end of the day, it's just a party.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So
true.
there's nothing to stress out about. You might lose a couple $100 or whatever. That's the worst case scenario.
hmm
As long as you provide a safe environment, everyone has a good time. Like that's why we're doing it.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's like it has something to do with like what you love. It's like if you're not really passionate about it, then like it's gonna be a tough time, because you're
It's
stressed out and everything. But if like you would do that, like there's no reason that you're gonna stop, because it's like anyone who wouldn't want to do it for the sole reason of loving to do it, then they
and there
put
ain't a
in
whole lot of
effort.
money in it
Yeah,
when you think about it.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess there's ways to capitalize on it, but like that's like a whole nother thing too.
Yeah. I try to stay in my lane.
Yeah, exactly, and that's super important too. I think being authentic in this space is like super crucial, and that's that's beautiful. But I want to go back, touch on sleep, because I've been like really
Oh
into
boy,
sleep
we
lately.
could all use more sleep.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been I like have this app or on my Apple Watch, and like it really tracks my sleep, and I've been starting to get on top of it. But I know I'm like a different person when I don't sleep. How do you manage like your sleep cycles, or just like because it's this and that all over the place, right?
Well, weekends are rather rough for me right now. For January and February, I was doing a Friday residency where I played from 11 p.m. till 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Get home around 2:30, maybe a little bit later, and then I work at around 6:30 in the morning. So I take 3 hour nap and then go into work. Work till about 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and then take another little nap, and then many days I'll have a gig Saturday night. So just on the weekends, napping. Sunday, I'm completely dead.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, throughout the week, trying to get into a routine. Like right now, I've got a pretty good routine where I'm in bed, around midnight, trying to avoid all the blue light, trying to, eat healthier and work out every day, avoid alcohol, and that's been working out for me.
That's probably tough because you're around alcohol all the
Yeah, no,
time.
for the longest time, I'd have, pretty much an unlimited bar tab every weekend.
Yeah.
And,
It's like I mean, growing up, you're like, wow, I forgot to take advantage.
Yeah,
Or at
so
least something,
it's tempting at first, and when you're younger, it's more appealing.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's just
It's like whatever.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I get to that point. I'd rather go out now and just have like one nice drink that I really can enjoy or two, you
yeah.
know?
There you go.
And usually they're like a cocktail bar, like that scene, you know? And then like I enjoy my buzz way much more and no hangover, this and that, get to bed at an early time, more like focused, you know? And I think if also pairing that with eating, right?
Yeah, nutrition is just as important as sleep.
Okay.
Because I don't get a lot of sleep, but I make sure, I'll do like an intermittent fasting thing where, I'll eat between 1 and 8.
Okay.
And
Has that been good for you? You
Oh, yeah.
Because I've obviously heard a lot about it and never really got around to it. I kind of naturally kind of skip breakfast. I don't know if that.
Yeah, I skip breakfast. I'll do a smoothie around noon or 1. Between noon and 2, we'll do a smoothie, and then, I try to eat a lot of like chickpeas,
Yeah.
beans,
Yeah.
a
Simple
lot of
stuff.
vegetables.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But like that's like that nutrition will keep you sustained.
Yeah. So that sounds like it's like super crucial for you and what you do. I mean, like it's. Because I know with me, it's like I've got the same thing on the weekends if I'm going out and whatnot with friends or we got an event or something like that and trying to get back into it on the weekdays. Thankfully, I got like a 9 to 5. I don't know if it's thankful, but like it's a scheduled work style, so I can do that pretty good. But I always feel like I fuck up on the weekends. So
Yeah, I know it can throw your week out of whack too, especially when you're like, for me, I make my own schedule. I mean, I've got a lot of obligations, but
yeah,
it just depends, Some like when you're really busy, you gotta look for, what's the next project. We got to keep things going. So
for sure.
sleeps, you're gonna have to take a back seat.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like that's how it works sometimes. And then you also mentioned like working out too. Do you find like working out like super important with that too, or
Yeah,
is it
absolutely.
really okay?
Yeah, at least 3 days a week.
Okay.
Will keep you. You'll sleep better at night, especially during the weekdays when you need it.
Yeah, no, I mean that's something that like those are basically my three things as well. It's like eating right, which I'm like whatever. I just like stay away from processed foods.
Yeah,
That's kind of my thing
exactly.
basically. And then it's I'm getting pretty good at sleep, and then the working out thing is like super crucial. I'm so dependent on working out to be in a good mood, to be focused, to be on top of things, and it's kind of like not addiction, but like I'm out of it if I
Yeah.
and I have been because it's like I've had the flu and I couldn't work out, and I have like the past 2 weeks I've been having so much stuff go on. I couldn't like, and I moved too, so like my gym is way further away from me, so I need to find a new gym and whatnot. But yeah, those three things like definitely like regardless of what's happening in my environment, like I'm pretty good on top of it if I have those three things aligned, which I can control.
Yeah, you just gotta find time to do stuff. You don't have to go to the gym every day. You can always like lift dumbbells while you're watching TV or looking at your phone.
Yeah. Is there anything else, or is those like the main three things?
I guess
meditation. I don't know.
No, I don't do a lot of meditation. I dedicate a lot of time to school too, so that helps keep me, learning. Learning new skills is always good. But yeah, other than that and searching for music keeps me motivated.
Gotcha. Is that like kind of like the most like rewarding thing is finding new music, new venues, or is there I guess like what keeps you going? Because you've been doing this for so long, and I know I've had friends who like got into a kind of like a little side thing and then it just kind of falls off. But like you are like one of those people that I've seen that's like no matter what, like I've seen people start and their like musical career and you just keep going.
Yeah, you just have to be consistent, and since I'm consistent, a lot of people will reach out to me whether if they're opening up a new bar and they want to have nights, or if they need a DJ for this or that occasion.
So you just kind of know that the consistency is important in building a brand, and you just put in the work to do that.
Yeah, and you can rely on me. I've got, I'll bring out gear if we have to, if we can make a deal. But there's bars and restaurants and clubs opening up in Detroit, every month.
Yeah, no, literally. I mean, it's always something new. I guess like I'm wondering like what like inside of you keeps you going in this? If it's not the money, then like what is it?
Oh, I mean, I enjoy seeing people happy and
Okay.
sharing music with people.
Okay, cool. So you just like to kind of like put people in a good vibe, good state.
Yeah, and be around friends. I've got a lot of really talented friends, and I want to give them a platform, to do what they do best.
Okay, so on top of you playing and stuff, you're putting on other people
Oh yeah,
and
always have guest DJs.
okay, cool, great. So like all you guys kind of like get together and like find places, and it's just all about, I guess like promoting their work, making sure everyone's having a good time,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess like keeping the party going week after week.
Yep.
Is there on the flip side? Is there like a lot of like like what's like some of the typical? Because I'm not in this space. I don't know anything about it. What's like the typical like just bullshit you have to deal with?
Oh,
And you don't have to listen to names.
nothing's necessarily typical. It's different all the time. I don't just do bar or club stuff. So some of the underground stuff gets really, borderline legality. So
Mm-hmm.
there'll be, I guess some bad experience I've had to clean up dog shit.
Wow.
Yeah,
In the venue?
in the venue. Yeah.
God damn.
I mean,
Alright.
you'll just get a warehouse. The roof will be leaking. You just got to make sure, like, how do we transform this, or just make it, good enough so that we can have our night, and
Cut ties or whatever. Gotcha.
But you have to really think on your feet, and I got a lot of challenging stuff like that. You're like cleaning up dog shit, dealing with with leaks. Like you just have to think, or issues with power, like.
Yeah. Have you ever had a situation like that where like the music's
Oh yeah,
stopped?
plenty of times.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's wow. So like what happens? Like
It depends. Nowadays, if I'm renting out sound, I'll also think about having a generator around just in case. But sometimes you just have to,
have you ever had
half
like
power the system,
cancel a show or something, or like or everyone gotta go or like
No.
really?
Yeah, we always seem to figure it out. Half the people in the audience. That's the thing about Detroit. Is DJs and sound guys are always in the audience.
Really?
Yeah, so I mean, you always got people who you can ask for help.
Okay. And it usually just ends up working out somewhere or another.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always a way to make it happen.
That's so cool. Is there yeah, I guess like going along like with the bad stuff, is there like with like the actual venues, like actual people, not I'm not asking for people's names, but like is there like like certain thing you watch out for now with like people who own the locations?
Yeah, reputation.
Reputation.
If someone that I respect can't vouch for you,
Mhm.
there's a slim chance that I'm going to work with you.
Okay. So that's like super important, especially at your point.
I don't have time. I'm not desperate to throw these shows. I
Mhm.
love doing these things, but I'm at the point where if it's more trouble than it's worth, I'm not going to
Gotcha.
be involved in it.
You're not going to experiment with people who,
Yeah.
there's got to be some way where.
You see a lot of people who are really thirsty just to play gigs and get that glory or whatever, make a name for themselves. I'm just kind of over that.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Okay.
I just want to make sure I'm safe. I want to make sure, everything's squared off on the business end of things, and I don't have to worry about anything.
Gotcha.
If I have a feeling like something's not right,
Trust your
it's
gut?
much easier to walk away than,
Gotcha. Okay, that's super interesting for me too, because I mean you're definitely at a stage where you have a brand, you have an audience and whatnot, and like,
Yeah, when I was younger, I've been in some situations, but
where like you just experiment,
yeah,
try new
you
things.
just want to play.
Yeah.
You just want to play, and a lot of young DJs, they want to play now, but there are better ways to go about it. You don't have to get tied up in, someone who's not going to pay you or, take advantage of you or hustle you in some way. Like,
So because like I'm looking at this perspective of like someone who could be listening and is like getting into it, and they are young right now, or like if you had advice for like someone who's younger getting
yeah,
into
I've
this.
got plenty of advice for younger DJs. I guess be consistent and be a part of the community. If you're not going, come out to the shows, introduce yourself to the promoters and the other DJs. If they don't know you, like honestly, promoters and DJs, they book their friends. Like,
Gotcha. Wow.
they're not like, and there's no shortage of talented DJs in Detroit.
Yeah.
And mostly like I'm friends with many talented DJs that I would put on, but you know, you got to get out there, go to our shows, come say, introduce yourself, and be a part of the community. And I guess nowadays there's a couple open deck nights that I would check out, particularly on Tuesdays at the High Dive in Hamtramck.
Okay, is
They
that
do
just kind of like a takeover? Everyone just kind of
yeah, like they've got like 5 hour slots or whatever, and people sign up for it. But like that's gear is really expensive. You're not gonna have club rig at your house, so if you want to learn how to use the gear, go out to those nights, go out to the bar and hang out, and meet these other people, and start learning how the gear works. And that's like a perfect opportunity. Like I didn't have that opportunity when I was younger. We didn't have all the fancy CDJs where you just plug in your flash drive.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I feel like the game has changed so much. But
Yeah, and I love it. It's becoming more accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
But it's also not, because of it's very expensive. The gear is very expensive.
Really?
Yeah.
How much like equipment does like a random show cost for like someone to put on?
Well, you would rent out sound and you would rent everything, but
oh really? Everyone, it's like a rental thing?
Yeah, you would rent out sound.
Okay.
You wouldn't buy speakers just to have a party.
Gotcha. Okay, so you just okay. So, but like as far as like your own equipment, is that like the most expensive thing, is like renting out equipment?
Talent probably.
Talent?
Yeah.
Talent's the most expensive? Okay.
Depending, I would say, yeah, sound.
I'm sure talent can like range, but if you want good talent, you gotta.
Yeah, no, I try not to just book a bunch of $100 local DJs. I try to step it up a little bit more usually, but especially if we're doing an underground party. But yeah, sound's expensive, and you want to make sure you have good sound.
Okay.
There's a lot of good sound companies in Detroit, and a lot of them will work with you. But
okay.
Sound's important.
I'm thinking about the actual like logistics of how it works. So you go to some sound company and they meet up with you and they just like set up all the sound and like you just perform, or is it a lot of you doing this stuff?
Personally,
do you pick up the equipment? Like I don't know.
Well, personally, it depends on what's already at the venue. If there's nothing in the venue, then yeah, I'll have to contact a friend. And but I've got friends who have club systems that we'll all do favors for each other. Whenever anyone needs a hand with anything or advice or anything.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm getting this whole feeling that it's like all about like not making friends, but like essentially it's like a group of people who respect each other.
Yeah.
And even though you might have not grown up with them or you don't interact with them as much, like it's just people that you can trust and rely on, and vice versa.
Exactly. That's when things become much easier than just relying on yourself.
Gotcha. So it is like a reputation type thing where it's like you have to people vouch for you, and then things just get a lot easier. And I think that's you just gotta put the work in.
Yeah, you gotta put in the work, and you'll get there.
Okay, cool, interesting. I think that transcends a lot of I guess fields too. I think music is definitely something that's a lot of collaboration, even though it's just like one artist up there
exactly.
or whatever. There's a lot of background stuff, and whether it's like the location or even the audience who's there, it's like there's a lot of stuff going on, and that's what I like about music and the whole Detroit scene. It's really kind of connected in a community, and I feel like social media helps, but you can't run really a business like that. Like there's other businesses like
you have to be out. You have to go to the bars on even the weeknights or whenever the parties are, and get to know people. You got to be part of the community. You can't.
do all this stuff, but at the same time, it's like not enough. Like same thing with me. I had like an online business, and technically you can do everything online, but especially with music, it's really getting yourself out there. Like you're not gonna meet anyone at your house.
No, there's a lot of parties going on. If you're trying to throw a party, you gotta use a little bit of strategy and also have people that are gonna come and support you.
Gotcha. Is there any like people you would like recommend I check out a show from? Obviously, like some of your.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've got tons of talented friends. Yeah. I would say
Like, what type of vibe is it? Like.
It depends, man. Everything's so different, Like tonight, there's gonna be a good hip hop show on the east side over Grosse Pointe Park,
Okay.
right at Charlevoix and Alter. Yeah, but my buddy Yarsh at the Charlevoix, they've got Jerobi White from A Tribe Called Quest coming out.
Oh, wow.
A couple other local rappers. It's gonna be pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah.
So, like a hip hop venue. Is there like, do you like a lot of diversity as far as like musical taste?
Oh yeah, I get tired of hearing boom, 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 every single time I'm out. So I like a lot of down tempo hip hop. I like seeing live bands play rock and roll.
Okay.
I'm usually listening to rock and roll or hip hop when I'm, driving in my car or whatever.
Is there like I know even like you a couple shows I went to, it's like it was like disco stuff too.
Yeah, that's like our specialty. Like disco and acid house is mainly what I like to play.
Okay.
So I dabble in techno, and then but I like house music. It's uplifting and
definitely.
people can really dance to it. It's not too experimental and weird.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a whole just like how like mainstream versus how like in depth you want to go.
Yeah, I feel like house music really bridges that gap.
Yeah.
Whereas people want to hear, words or something that they can relate to. And I feel like that disco and house are perfect for that.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think like that's like a blend where anyone can like kind of come into it, enjoy themselves from it. How's the Facebook Live doing? What's going on, everyone? Yeah, we're doing
looking good.
Facebook Live over here too with it. But yeah. So is there? I kind of want to like touch back on like you want to start doing live music and live sets. Like, what's that entail? Like, because again, I don't know this stuff, and like when you're DJing, it's like you just have a whole bunch of like tracks, like actually.
Oh yeah, when you're DJing, the gear's already set up. You bring a flash drive or your needles and records, and you play. But I would be for live, I would bring out synthesizers, like a laptop, a bunch of effects pedals, and drum machines, and
so is
create
that
the
like,
music on the fly.
Because I see that, at like concerts, like this person is doing it live. So like, what does that mean? Like, I'm super new. So
They're playing their own original music. They start with like a drum beat, and then they'll have a sequence going to like the bass, and
So
like they create that all on the fly. And
So it's literally like everything you're hearing are just like all these pieces of music that they're adding in and like taking out and like
they'll start with like the drum track, and then they'll bring in the bass line, and they'll bring in the synth, and they'll twist a bunch of knobs. And like the beautiful thing is, it's going to be different every time you do it.
Yeah.
Even if you have like you're sequencing the same melodies, but the way you go about it, you might like take too much time on one part and then before switching in. Like it's always going to be different.
Gotcha.
Especially when you bring all the hardware into play.
Yeah.
And you're relying on these knobs or all these external effects.
Is there as far as like going into a DJ set, like how does that work? Is it like you just have all your tracks lined up, and then but you still have to like mix it in, right? Like,
Oh yeah, of course.
So is that like kind of like the big thing is like mixing it in, and you just kind of like let it do its thing for a couple minutes?
Yeah, nowadays it's a lot easier because they've got these CDGs, which are essentially big computers with like little platters on them where you plug in your flash drive, you've got playlists, it tells you the BPM.
You kind of like sync it up or whatever.
Yep, sync it up and then mix it in, and
it just flows together.
Yep, and you've got gigabytes and gigabytes of music you can play forever.
Jeez. Okay, so you can like literally do anything, and
yeah, I still bring out vinyl. I mean, a lot of most venues will have turntables, most proper venues, but sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes we just have CDJs, or
Okay, so with the vinyls, that's like you're literally putting on a track and it like starts spinning and.
Yeah, you got to use turntables, and turntables are prone to a lot of issues, especially in a club environment. Like you'll get feedback, especially you'll get skipping from the subwoofers, shaking.
Oh yeah,
things.
yeah.
So you got to make sure they're properly isolated and able to interact with the room.
Gotcha. So it is probably a little bit more harder to do, but
yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
But why do people still do it? Is it just like, I guess I'm sure it's harder to do. So
no, it's the culture.
It's the culture.
That's how people started DJing, was with records, and that's the way it's always been. And that's what especially all these classic dance tracks where, they would go to vinyl so that DJs could play them.
Oh, gotcha. So it's like they got it now, and it's been like that ever since.
Yeah, and it's just part of the culture. You go to the record store and like you find, you look at all these records and listen to them there, and the record store or the staff will give you, advice on, or recommendations on what you should be getting.
Gotcha. Do you ever do like garage sales? Do you ever like check
Oh
out
yeah,
the-
like
what about Facebook Marketplace even? Like,
yeah, once in a while you'll get like people selling lots. It really depends. I've had good luck at flea markets. I've had good luck at estate sales.
gotcha.
So if there's records and I'm there, I'm gonna look at them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like its own thing. Well, what are a couple of good places in Detroit for like buying records?
Detroit music, techno house, Detroit Threads,
Detroit
and
Threads.
Hamtramck on Joseph Campo and Throwbridge.
Okay.
I would also recommend Hello Records in Corktown.
Nice. Okay, cool. So those are a lot of options out there. It's like, yeah, like I was saying, I just moved in, and my buddy's getting a record player, and then he's like starting to like look into a couple places. So I'm definitely gonna recommend those to him.
Yeah, and a lot of people are reissuing, vinyl from, 20, 30 years ago.
Really? Okay.
And you can always go to, any local shop and find really good music at a budget price.
Gotcha. Cool. So I guess like, is there any other hobbies outside of like the whole music realm that you like partake in? Or
Yeah.
Is it just like full...
I'm really into Magic the Gathering.
Okay, interesting. That's cool though. That's unique. So I'm I play one video game and that's it. But like
Oh yeah, I never got into video games, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I feel like when I was younger, I'd play like a couple sports or whatnot ones, but
Mhm.
never really got into it. I always got like really anxious, when, like especially like the first person shooters and like going across the corner.
Oh yeah, I can't stand those. Like if it's like reaction time, things like that, like I can't do it. I like strategy stuff, but
Mhm.
like if it's like reaction speed, I will always lose too.
Yeah, I feel like Magic the Gathering got me into more gaming as in a game theory rather than, just shooting everything in sight.
Yeah.
So I'll enjoy, I'll go over to John's house when he does the board game nights once in a while. Have a good time.
Gotcha. Is there anything else you like to do as far as like hobbies that like take up a lot of your time, or is it pretty much music?
Assurance services. Yeah. Learning about as much as I can about accounting. Basically it,
How does that like I guess like blend? Is it just in general, like why'd you get into that as opposed to...
Well, I knew I wanted to go to school for business. I
Okay.
didn't go back to school until I was like 25 or 26. But
Mhm.
yeah, going I feel like that was really beneficial knowing what I actually wanted to do, going back to school rather than fresh out of high school. But
Yeah, totally.
yeah, I knew I wanted to do business, but I talked to someone I consider a mentor, and they said, you should, rather than just doing general business, you should do accounting. Have a really good, understanding of the financial statements and be able to make a lot of higher level decision making.
Yeah, especially, and you can take that. Obviously, I'm sure that's tying right back into your like music businesses where you're gonna be like, on top of your stuff.
So being able to
taxes, like come on,
well, taxes are one thing, but being able to audit like your present and past performance will help you predict what you should feasibly be able to do in the future.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's like a whole another aspect to like the music industry that a lot of people like might not even have. And like you have that on your back, and like that's really gonna like make sure you're on top of it and like not making like really dumb decisions.
Yeah, no, and I'm comfortable with where I'm at. Like I said, I don't like doing events with more than 100 people. I like more intimate stuff.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. We're already wrapping up over here. This went by quick, but
I sure did.
I want to ask a couple questions, but where can everyone find you? Like,
You can find Sexual Tension Detroit on Facebook, facebook.com/Tension Detroit. You can find me on Facebook too, facebook.com/Jerry Downey Music. We're also on Instagram, Sexual Tension Detroit, one word.
Gotcha. And those are your main ones, is like Twitter or anything like that?
I don't really use Twitter all that often. No.
Yeah. I'm not a Twitter guy, to be honest. Either.
Yeah.
I have one. I never got into it. But one last question I want to ask you is as far as like this has some element of like entrepreneurship and to what you've been doing is do you feel like it's like something you're born with, or is it the environment and you can be taught like everything like you kind of came up into? Is it do you find like
Well,
is
you
a
can be taught one thing.
personality?
Um, you have to be able to take advice. You have to be able to not be afraid to ask questions. And I've learned a lot of things the hard way, but now that I'm able to, ask for advice, look up to other people, things become a lot easier.
Gotcha. So it's just like, kind of like putting yourself out there and being able to listen and
Yeah, be a part of the community, be consistent, ask for help when you need it, and help others, and we'll go from there.
don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, perfect. Well, thanks everyone who joined in this episode. I hope you guys learned something, learned a little bit about the scene right here. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for coming, Jerry.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine.
Awesome.